Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Join Cycling, which is the smartest training app for cyclists, whether you're racing or training for a big event or just trying to get stronger on the bike. Unlike rigid training plans, Join adapts to your schedule, fitness level, and goals, so you always get the most effective workout no matter how life gets in the way. And this is important for Andrew and I because, as Benji points out in this episode, we are signed up to do El Tour de Tucson on November 22nd. We'll be going to get up against some of the biggest names in professional cycling, like Bradley Wiggins, George Hincapie, perhaps even Quinn Simmons, in a 100-plus mile ride race, and we'll need all the help we can get. And Join is helping us get there. Like today, I've not been training maybe as hard as I should have. I go to my Join app. It has all my training load in it, so it knows what I need to do. It's suggested a 30-minute run. Maybe I want to do something else. All I have to do is click the little wheel, cycling workout, and it gives me a 5 times 4 minute VO2 max workout that I can easily do in the next hour and a half before I have to go to my child's Halloween parade at their school. So I'll get that done. Join makes it easy. Join will give me the workout right on my head unit. I can export it. It will log the workout, log the load, and put it into a formula that will spit out my next workout. So Join, I cannot recommend enough. Join is helping us get ready for El Tour de Tucson. If you want to try it, you can try it for a month free at Join. It's a little bit of an unwieldy URL, join.cc/campaign/beyond-/the Peloton. The link is also in the show notes if you'd rather get it there. All right, let's get into the episode. Everybody, welcome back to the Beyond the Peloton podcast. I'm Spencer Martin, author of the Beyond the Peloton newsletter. As always, I'm here with Andrew Bonds from the Choose the Hard Way podcast, always the Hard Way newsletter. This is a very special edition of the podcast, Andrew. We're on the road, not together. We will be next week. This is our first bi-continent show where I'm in London, you're on the West Coast. We almost could not be further apart from each other, but we're here together in spirit, at least. You're coming off what, a 17-hour travel day yesterday. Is that right?
Correct. That's the standard amount of time to travel from Hope, Maine to any location other than DC or New York most of the time.
I flew earlier this week, Denver to Munich, Munich to Mallorca. Mallorca is not sponsoring this podcast. It's amazing. Would recommend going. We will be doing I was doing an intensive Beyond the Peloton camp feasibility study while there, and I can report back. It is amazing. We should go do a bike camp there. But I think somehow I did fewer travel hours than you did.
Yeah, that would stand to reason. Yeah. Hope, Maine is well worth it, though.
Well worth it.
Yeah, and I got to say, Spencer, you look great. I feel like the travel had a severe impact on me. I'm just catching up today. I'm doing the best I can,
Domestic travel I felt fine when I arrived here, and then yesterday I flew from Mallorca to London, which is like somehow the same flight time as Kansas City to Denver, and you go from nearly Africa to what feels like an Arctic, dark, rainy island up in the up by the North Pole. But somehow traveling in the U.S. always feels harder, and I can't tell you why. And part of it is because you think you're going to have that Wi-Fi, and you don't have that Wi-Fi, and you're going crazy because you paid for that Wi-Fi. Is this correct?
Yeah, we're going to get into the Wi-Fi in a minute. Before we really get cooking here, Spencer, I know I've shared with you, I am out here in the Bay Area. I am working with a client whose name I can't disclose. It's a very senior executive at a big tech company whose products I guarantee our listeners are using too.
You're saying too much. It's a big tech company. We can just leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And that is exactly why I started One Real Voice. If you're a senior leader in 2025 and beyond, you know that podcasts are absolutely mission critical to building your reputation and being known and connecting with your community. That's why this company reached out to me. That's why I started One Real Voice. It's a strategic podcast consultancy, and I coach you to be a world-class guest or host using a behavioral science-backed method. Actually, Spencer, I haven't talked about this much, but I'm applying a lot of what I learned from the Better Lab, working with some of the world's leading behavior scientists and applied high performance experts. And of course, what I've learned during 28 years as a journalist and executive at a unicorn, venture backed startup founder, and now all these podcasts that we do. I'm applying that all to help people. When you're ready to be great, you can DM me at HardwayPod on Instagram. That's where all serious business happens in my link tree. Or you can send me an email to hello@onerealvoice.com. And I'll tell you what, Spencer, on the topic of travel, I was reading some quotes from the Dutch national team coach because they're going for, I don't know if you're aware of this, they're going for the Vanderpool and Puck Peters road mountain bike Olympic gold doubles in LA 2028. And one of the things that the coach discussed in this story I read is how challenging it will be for them to navigate the time zone difference. Yeah, I was like, but
Interesting.
you don't really think about it much, but these world tour pros from mainland Europe, they're they're not doing a lot of time zone shifting typically. Although when they go to the UAE and some of the other events in the Middle East, I don't know how big is
But
that
it's
time
still I
difference.
was it's I think Central Europe to UAE is 3 hours.
Oh, okay. So
But then
basically,
even Rwanda
yeah.
was the same it's the same time as Europe.
Right.
Yeah.
So Australia, of course, that was an outlier and pretty much, yeah, we saw what happened there. We saw Scott McGill shine on rim breaks, right? I mean, spear fisherman, Scott McGill, God bless you. And I think one of the big challenges Vanderpool will have, of course, he flies private, never scheduled, as we know. But will he be able to have working Wi-Fi on whatever aircraft? And people these days, they say, hey, you're in a metal tube going 550 miles an hour at 35,000 feet. Like, what do you expect? What are you complaining about if the
Decent
Wi-Fi
point, decent
doesn't
point.
work? And the thing that I was thinking about, I mean, it seems like the entire goal of human civilization now is to put 10 tech trillionaires on Mars. And then I don't know what happens to the rest of us, but that's kind of where we're headed. And there's a lot of technology being developed to make that happen. Are we at a point, Spencer, where if we want to have working internet on a plane, it's very top of mind for me, is I had a lot of inbound yesterday, just enough bandwidth. I did run a speed test on the plane during the rare moments when the Wi-Fi was working. We were at around 7 megabits per second down and 0.25 megabits per second up. I don't believe that we actually we're at 7 down. Is the solution to this actually that we have a spool of DSL cable running from the plane to the ground and it just unspools during the course of your flight? Because if you think about it, you have satellite internet on a plane, you have an unobstructed line of sight to the satellite. It should be way better than when you're on planet Earth or the terrestrial planet Earth, right? So what's going on?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something I think a lot about. I don't really understand it, but the current like, what you usually use when you are on Wi-Fi on a plane, it's some sort of janky, satellite internet. I mean, I don't wanna make this political, but Elon Musk's company, what's the it's not SpaceX, it's not Tesla, it's what's the other one?
Starlink.
Starlink. So they now are starting to put Starlink on planes, and it's true satellite internet, and it is perfect. Like, I watched a Nuggets game on a flight from Hawaii to LA. It was perfect. Like, you could have a video call. It was that fast, like 300 up. So the f in that but that makes it more frustrating when you're suffering through terrible internet and you know you could have Starlink. But I believe in the next few years, like, most airlines will have free Starlink internet, and it's gonna be rocket fast. And then, Andrew, we're going to be complaining because we're going to be sitting in the middle of, like, 50 Zoom calls on every flight, and we'll say, "Remember when people couldn't do this on planes? That was the good old days."
Fair enough.
And that cross country flight is long. That's I know that anxiety of you're like, "Oh, no, stuff's happening, and I'm offline for freaking 5 to 6 hours." Did you have a layover
Yeah.
somewhere?
No, the flight was, because it's winter and there's a headwind, it was about 7 hours in the air.
That's like how long my flight to Munich was.
I'm serious, 'cause they have the in-flight tracker, and
Yeah, and you're
I'm not
going
somebody.
so slow,
Yeah,
so
I'm
slow.
not raw dogging it, staring at that in-flight tracker. We were flying in the high 300s, right? Yeah,
It's a fast train.
yeah, yeah, so that was a little bit disturbing, and by the time I pulled my laptop out, I looked the person in the window seat, I looked over, my seatmate had probably 20 tabs open, they were Perplexity, they're generating virtual worlds on some AI platform. I can't even get my computer to turn on. And I don't typically do this. It's not in flight tech support. I did go back. I talked to some of the crew there on the plane, and they said, "Hey, you're on a flight to the Bay Area, and there are like 100 laptops open right now." And then, like 30 minutes later, there's the announcement the captain's rebooting the Wi-Fi, which I feel it's like they pulled the video game cartridge out and they're gonna blow on it to
Yeah,
try to make it work better, right?
and it's definitely a mental pacifier. It's not doing anything.
No.
That's never helping. That's not what you wanna hear. That the
Yeah. Do you
Wi-Fi's
mind disclosing, Spencer, what airline you were flying that had this lightning fast internet?
It was Hawaiian Airlines, which
Okay.
has Star but United is putting it in, and I actually suspect that I've flown United with, like, trial Starlink that they've not publicly disclosed because I've
Got
been
it.
on United flights over water where I am just ripping fast through cyberspace. Um,
Interesting.
I did so when you fly, like, transatlantic, if you fly United, I get free Wi-Fi through T-Mobile, which is fantastic, but then, yeah, you're on these European flights, you're not getting any Wi-Fi on those, and you just kinda have to
Ryanair.
s yeah, you gotta sit
Yeah.
I'm an EasyJet man, and I gotta say,
Okay.
EasyJet, not as bad as you'd think, actually works
Well,
pretty well.
they give you a lawn chair when you come on board, right?
Yeah, they would have you stand if they could, and you're like you're never using a jet bridge, you're just, like, on the runway, like, "Is this
Yeah.
safe? Is this
Ah,
allowed?" We're
it's
just
like being in
walking around.
Burbank. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like planes just landing all around you, but, so I just talked to our friend, Benji Nassen at Rouleur Live. Went in, we're both, like, immediately thinking, "How do we get out of here as fast as possible?" It's very crowded, very loud, people are there to party, the beers are selling. Also, just a moment of appreciation for Rouleur, that it is a magazine, a British magazine, and then having the foresight to be like, maybe that's not gonna work as a business, a standalone business. Let's spin off an event." And it's like a social and it's not your dad's inner bike, Andrew, where it's just some exhibitors. They have exhibitors who pay a lot of money to be there. They also have very interesting talks. I saw Alexander Kristoff and Tor Hushovd, both I was wishing you were there. Both and we're talking units, man. These are big guys. Like, I think you would have been so motivated that you would have, like, finally broken through to the world tour had you seen how
Yeah.
you would have realized the skinny was a lie the entire time. Um, and, like, that it was, like, shocking how big these guys are. They look like center backs in soccer, like professional soccer players, but they are, cyclists. And so Benji and I are there talking. This kid walks up to us. I think he's a fan of Benji's. And then Benji introduces him to me. It's Lorenzo Finn. This guy, he's on Red Bull, 18 years old, like one of like the most talented young riders. And it was shocking, A, how small he was, and B, how young he was. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like it was a real wake up call of like these riders are not as old as you think. And it actually made me when you see him compared to Alexander Kristoff, like Alexander Kristoff looks the same age as Tor Hushovd. The man must be in his 40s, if not an even 40. And then I think what we talked about last week, where you're like, can you imagine if you're Christoph and you're 40 years old? He has 4 kids at home, 5 on the way, all boys, and you're rooming with Lorenzo Finn in like a Campanile in France. Like the lifestyle started to sink in for me. And I am on a tour de tiny hotels in London. Last year I stayed at the Citizen Inn, which maybe had the smallest room I've ever seen, and this year I'm at the Premier Inn, and it is if it looks like I'm zoomed in, it's because I'm sitting in the only space in the room, and I'm slammed right up against the laptop, but I got space to put the laptop on this desk, so no complaints, but
Spencer, I have to imagine that probably the biggest topic of discussion at Ruler Live this year has to be professional gravel cycling washout Greg Van Avermaet, the man with the golden bike and helmet, taking that Ironman 70.3 age group
wait, did he
world
really?
championship. Yes, he won the Ironman 70.3 40 to 44 age group
What?
world championship title. I feel like Vinokurov may have done this before in the full distance Ironman. And then we know, of course, Tom Dumoulin, now I believe a marathon age grouper as well as Ironman athlete. I know that we've had some private discussions with Jonathan Kaplan and, of course, Kip over in Kip's Corner. Kip, wishing you a speedy recovery about this topic of former world, Olympic, and national champions catting down post world tour career to just ease into that age grouper lifestyle and just crush the ambitions and dreams of everyday people just fitting their training in around their family and their job. Spencer, does this seem equitable to you? This Greg Van Avermaet move, or is it just how
Well,
it goes? This is sports.
I think this is sports. I mean, someone's gotta win. Who's winning those championships if not former Olympic champions? It is, I guess, in Van Avermaet's defense, I would think it was pretty egregious if he was racing age group cycling, but in his defense, he's not a triathlete. It is a different sport, and he must be in incredibly good shape. Tom Dumoulin, marathoner. The Dumoulin, I'm like split on even if I should talk about this or not. But
Go
Dumoulin,
ahead.
so,
That's a
so
that's
he's
a good sign. Let her rip.
so he retired in 2022 from cycling because he was like burnt out from the training or whatever, the lifestyle. The man's at the running like sub 2 hour, 30-minute marathons. He must be training all the time. Like, what? I mean, I understand racing bicycles is a completely different level of training. If this guy was French, he would just be on Cofidis collecting checks, showing up to races, not doing anything. I guess he expected the best from himself, and he just I can't give the best anymore, so I'm going to retire. But I still think Dumoulin's got something left to give, man. Like, get that guy on a bike. He's not done. He's running 2:30 marathons. That's pretty fast for someone who's not a runner and not a professional runner. Like that's cooking.
Yeah, he's not quite at that. It's time to feed the day old croissants and baguettes to the goats stage of his life, is he?
No, and that I mean, how old is Thibaut Pinot? Let's find out. He might be even younger. He's 35. They're the same age.
Oh my God, Thibaut Pinot's 35.
35. Is that crazy? Remember when he
How
was
how
like
old does yeah, how old does that make him in Garrett Thomas years?
yeah, they were, like, showing it Ruler Live's a funny event, like, I never feel cool enough. I'm just like, "Can I how fast can I get out of here?" But they were showing, like, a video of Geraint Thomas, like, Matt Stevens and Geraint Thomas on the cafe ride,
Right.
and it's like, "Man, I gotta go home and watch this whole documentary because this guy is a trip." I mean, how old is Thomas? He's, like, 40 years old, right?
Yeah, I believe he's 40, he might be 41. I would figure that I mean, when you walk into a Rouleur Live, I'm just imagining that they have a similar to the Pagacha statue that's now in the UAE, the golden Pog statue. I'm imagining like the Colossus of Rhodes. You're walking in under the legs of a large scale Geraint Thomas sculpture, maybe rendered in, I'm not just like, what's the local beer in Wales?
I don't even I don't
Yeah,
know.
but it's
Something
like
that's
made out
not
of,
good.
yeah, it's like it's welded from discarded kegs of the finest whale ale.
Carlsberg, which I think is actually a
Yeah.
Danish beer, but they
Okay.
is drunk widely in the UK. It's all Foster's.
Yeah.
Um, Tonight, I'm just looking at the who is speaking tonight. So Greg LeMond at 6:10 PM. Gotta hit that. And then Pauline Ferrand-Prévot is like the big name at 7 PM. and I completely respect this decision. She requested that they fly her in morning of and fly her out right after the talk. Which is amazing. What a legend. I am not sticking around that city. Get me out
Have
of
to
there.
ask, what is the gender balance at this event?
You know, it's interesting. It is male dominated for sure, but not as much as you'd think. It's not all men, which is shocking to me. I would say London has a funny subset of like I know it's a husband and wife, and they like 2 years ago, I was in London, I rented a bike from them, and that's what they did, they ran, like, a bike rental service, and in those 2 years, just basically on Instagram, they built, like, a club, and you would, like, subscribe to their club, and you would get access to their social events, which is maybe more of a British thing, the idea that you're in a social club, but then you can go on trips with them, and they started hosting trips, and they just hosted 3 it was 3 week-long trips in Mallorca, women only. This was in October, November, and they sold those 3 weeks out, and it's, like, all
Amazing.
20 to 35-year-old women, and there's apparently enough of them that are cycling mad that they can just, like, sell these trips out indefinitely. So, they were there, they're the big local influencers. They're introducing the show to, like, their community, which is very gender balanced, if not more women than men. Now I've blown it up, now there's gonna be but all these guys looking up this club, trying to get on these rides. Well, you know what you see too is funny in London, you see the ladies are out riding, they're showing up, and you can see the Zen canister in everyone's back pocket, so apparently for, like
Seriously.
yeah, like 20 to 30-year-old women, like, it's the Zen it's the Zen generation, the Zeneration, which I'm confused because was that did you do pouches when you were a kid? Like the tobacco
No,
pouches?
I didn't do that. I remember though the big thing, we were from the Midwest, it was bandits, right? Like,
Yeah,
isn't that the pouches? They
yeah.
were bandits.
And you'd like, you're 12, you're doing the pouches, and I just vividly remember, like, vomiting profusely after putting these pouches in, and then those high schoolers would make fun of you because 'cause you're like, pouches are for that's, like, not real tobacco, but, like, you guys are
Right.
you're learning how to use it, and then you'll use real tobacco, and then now, like, the pouches are back, like, what is happening? This is not a new thing, but I wish I would have invested in Zyn is the moral of that story, but here,
Yeah.
I'm gonna read you this lineup. You tell me whose talk do you wanna go to the most? Luke Rowe, Greg LeMond, Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. That's tonight. Then tomorrow, someone got the 10:30 AM slot. That's just unkind. Everyone's gonna be too
Brutal.
hungover to go to that. We got this is at noon tomorrow. I will be at this. Jonathan Vaughters and Thomas Van Den Spiegel. He's the CEO of Flanders Classic. Um, The woman who won the Tour de or the World Championship Women's, I'm not gonna try to say her name, and then Simon Yates. I think you might pick Simon Yates because you would just want to stick around to ask him about his vacations.
Yeah. Yeah. I would want to know what goes on in Ibiza. I have to ask, are Unibet, Rocket, Rose, are they part of this event?
Not, you know? Well,
Yes.
who's their bike brand? It's Rose Bikes. I don't think
It's Rose.
Rose is at the event,
Right.
which means Rose has not ponied up, and so
Right.
there's quite a bit of back room. I mean, usually if your bike sponsor buys, like, a big exhibit, like Ridley, then Uno X brings riders, so it's typically connected to your bike brand. I think since Rose did not pay to play, since Rose didn't pay, they don't get to play. Maybe they think they're above it though, since they have their own following. Last night was Filippo Ganna.
I mean, actually, you should be sharing a room with him
He feels
to make it
uncomfortable by himself.
yeah, to make it period correct, you should be sharing a hotel, as we will be soon, which is going to be an incredible step in our partnership, I think.
We have booked you an offsite potty, so you can go to
Yeah.
a private area and use the bathroom.
Yeah,
Um,
Spencer, you mentioned earlier that so what Rouleur has done, they're a publication and now they've gotten into the events business and done quite well. This is, as you know, this is probably the most common model for media businesses now, and it's how they generate many of them most of their revenue. And if we look at Semaphore, The Information, The Atlantic, most of them have large scale events businesses, and they do exactly what Rouleur does. I think what our listeners want to know is, why are Spencer and Andrew not there together? And if this big tech moment hadn't brought me out to the Bay Area, I probably would be there. And I think perhaps in the future, our move is, I mean, there could be a beyond the Peloton aggregation of all the players in this space at an event sometime in the future. And you might have the opportunity to meet them. And in the meantime, we'll just continue to talk about what's happening there. One activation opportunity that it sounds to me has been missed. You bring in Filippo Ganna, I have to imagine Dan Bigham is lurking somewhere in the shadows at this event.
He is. He's here. He
Yeah,
was
right.
yeah.
So, how do you not have an ice chip potluck where you can just come in? If you watch the Hour Record documentary with Dan Bigham and with Ghana, you know that the new secret move is you just shovel down an unflavored Slurpee, basically, before you go out there to keep your core temperature low while paradoxically warm up your muscles. But can you imagine this morning, Spencer, if you went down to the breakfast buffet and they just had bowls of ice chips for everybody to eat with Ghana for, let's say, 4,000 euros a head?
Yeah, it would sell out faster than you could snap your fingers. That's an
Yeah.
auto. I'm actually looking at, so there's like two stages. There's the main stage, and then there's the Zwift stage, which you have to sit in a really, really like the loudest room you've ever been in your life with like 7 people watching you. And it's so loud they have to put headphones on so they can hear you talk. And Dan Bingham was on that stage when Ghana was on the main stage. So is like Dan Bingham
Wow.
just living this life where it's like everything I do, Filippo Ganna's there to scoop it up and just be a little bit better. But people might be asking, why are you the awkward thing about this event and the reason we don't really officially partner with them is because they're pushing their own cycling media properties, which is technically in competition with ours. But I'm at this event to talk to they got me with these brands. You have
Right.
to show up if you want to talk to the brands looking for partners beyond the Peloton 2026. Reach out go to the go where you go for all answers to any question in life, go to Andrew's Instagram and shoot him a message if you do want to sponsor the show for 2026.
That's how it
But
all starts.
that's how everything starts. That's how the universe started. But Andrew, just to go through a few quick topics before we have to go. Did you see that? So last week we talked about Premier Tech leaving Israel Premier Tech, thinking that's kind of funny. They could have stuck around. I saw today reported at La Gazzetta dello Sport that they might be taking their talents and their checkbook to Alpecin Koenig. What do you
Yes.
think about this move?
Uh, Bizarre, because just 24 hours ago, I also read that the team has secured a Swiss sponsor and it will also involve Premier Tech. So I'm a bit confused by this. From what I understood, the team is now going to operate with a Swiss license going forward. And 24 hours
This is
later,
Alpecin Koenig?
no, Premier
Oh,
Tech.
oh, oh, Premier Tech. Okay.
Yeah. And
Well,
then 24 hours later, I'm seeing these merger rumors. And what I start to think is, who is the origin of this rumor? I have a feeling it might be one specific writer who is often used for these trial balloons.
I was supposed
And
to
they,
have a drink with
they
that guy
might
in
be
like
there.
20 minutes. I'm gonna ask him. Um, well, I think though, was it though, is like so the team formerly known as Israel Premier Tech is
Right,
thinking about becoming a Swiss team with a Swiss sponsor.
right.
I think that's separate from the company currently known as Premier Tech is leaving Israel Premier Tech and going to Alpecin Koenig. So it's like
Okay.
I believe that's 2 separate events where but I don't know if I actually believe that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, so I mean, you know Sylvan Adams well, better than anyone, Andrew. Could you imagine him?
Absolutely.
I just doesn't make sense to me that he would register the team in Switzerland. Maybe he's like an FU to Canada, but
Yeah, I don't know. You're describing a scenario to me. I feel it's like when Superman flew backwards to make time reverse. I mean, it's like it's that outlandish. I'm not sure what's going on in the world. Like, how are we going to keep going?
It's funny to think that Premier Tech, you're like, okay, you have the chance to be the title sponsor of a World Tour team owned by Sylvan Adams, or you can be a co-sponsor of a team with Matthew Vanderpool. Which one do you choose? It's like, I think the answer is pretty obvious. You'd probably say we're going to go with Vanderpool,
Right.
and we're going to tether ourselves to the Rudhoof brothers instead of Sylvan Adams. I believe is probably what happened there.
Yeah, Spencer, this just popped into my consciousness. What do we think happens to cycling in Los Angeles and its position as a global epicenter of cycling following the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028? And we haven't talked about this, is part of why Wout and Matthew were there, in addition to sponsor obligations and getting to play basketball, perhaps to take a look at the terrain to prepare and start thinking about the road race in 2028.
Maybe it's possible. The only thing is, I've seen sneak peeks of the road race. It might be
Right.
too hard for those guys, but you would have said Rio's too hard, right, for Greg Van Avermaet, and then he wins in Rio.
Nothing's
So
too hard for Greg Van
yeah,
Avermaet. I
nothing,
mean, come
not
on,
an
come on.
Ironman.
Except gravel racing. Yeah.
But if Rwanda was too hard, I mean, maybe it won't be as hard as Rwanda. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I do think both those guys are probably too big for what they have in store. But it's a good theory. Oh, the moment we see Pogacar suddenly doing some sort of Red Bull activation in Los Angeles, we'll know that what he's doing there. I mean,
My
do we
Lush
want to talk?
Live. Yeah.
So let's talk about the basketball. We had Wout van
Right.
Aert shooting hoops with Reggie Miller. I think it was noted by some within our own group, like Jonathan Kaplan. I think Jonathan's very mean comment was just a question. Why can't Wout shoot? Was the question. And my wife said, "Oh my God, he doesn't even look like an athlete." But I believe it's probably one of the first time he's ever shot a basketball. So we're judging a man. I think most of us grew up shooting a basketball. Your biomechanics are just different if you don't do something from a young age. But it was nice to see him out there. We want to encourage people to look dumb doing things. We don't want to shame them, but it was kind of jarring to see. Like, wow.
Well, yeah. What is with this basketball pro cycling crossover? I mean, I understand the Reggie Miller connection through Los Angeles and Red Bull, but wasn't Pog out shooting 3 pointers
No,
with
I think you're
or what team was that?
so that was UAE at what race was that? It was like Itzulia or Catalunya or it might have been Azulia, but it was a UAE team shooting three-pointers and obviously being terrible at it because they never practice or do it.
Right.
But I think that's because they started the race. The first stage started inside that basketball arena. It was a time trial. It started
Of
from there. So
course.
that's what they were shooting.
Yeah.
The reason you probably see these is because it's catnip on social media. It's just going viral. The lack of, of coordination just goes viral. No one can stop looking at it.
Well, the other thing we know is catnip on social media, and that cycling media simply cannot stop talking and writing about is anytime a professional cyclist goes on a run. And I'm sure you saw that Matthew Vanderpool, after
Someone
taking, I
tagged us
don't,
in this on Instagram.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have my Instagram open. Yeah, thank you. I know we have a listener that sent this to us. Matthew Vanderpool rips a 10K in I think 33 minutes, which is
That's so
it's,
fast.
it's a pretty good time.
That's very fast.
You have to wonder though, given what we've seen with Demi Vollering and things on the women's side of the world tour, you bring Wout and Matthew to Los Angeles, you're a sponsor. How do you not have these guys lead a run club activation? I mean, that's kind of the pinnacle, right? In 2025, run club, Zen, maybe some kind of short sponsorship where you can shove 100 gels into your underwear. Like that's really like the big flex right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't what is going on with this? Is it just because the sponsorship surface area is so much larger if you're a runner? but it does seem I mean, running's been around for a long time. People have been running for many years for recreation and survival and hunting. And then it just feels like in the last 24 months, it's now mandatory for every professional cyclist to be like a social media runner. I don't get it. I'm going to go on a run when this podcast ends, and I probably won't post about it on social media. Maybe that's a mistake.
Yeah, Spencer, this is orthogonal. I want to bring it up though. I was having a rather heated back and forth with a friend yesterday who is a very accomplished cyclist. At the same time, their position is that cycling is not a skill sport and that 99% of the success in cycling is a derivative of genetics and just like putting in time. What do you
This
think
is a
about this?
cyclist that said this?
Yes, I will say that this friend and cyclist who I don't want to name
Was
because
it
I don't
Dylan
want
Johnson? Blink twice if it
I
was
just
Dylan Johnson.
I don't want them to come under attack on
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media. I can imagine them getting swatted or doxxed for a statement like this.
What?
From my point of view, I feel like cycling is an intensely skill-driven sport.
Yeah,
And
I think in a
yeah,
lot of races, if you had people upload their power and, like, their best powers, it almost would have no correlation to the outcome of the race.
yeah, this person's counterexample, they said, well, for example, like collegiate soccer is requires a much higher level of skill and coordination than being a professional cyclist. I don't agree with that statement at all. And I also think, I mean, there are just so many examples I personally know of or athletes I've written about who have a huge engine and then they get sent to their first Belgian Kermesse or they get stuck in a world tour race and they can't do it,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah, especially at the classics. I mean, it's all skill. Like, to be at the front, it's mentality and skill. Obviously, you have to be strong, but the thing is, they're all really strong. Like, there's
Yeah.
not I mean, maybe like a high mountain stage at the Tour de France. Yeah, there's a baseline, and not many riders can do that, but even then, like, we saw Simon Yates win a stage at the Tour this year, and he was not nearly at his best, and he did that on skill, like, skill and experience and knowing what to do. I couldn't disagree with this take more. It's
No, I
so
know. And then you think about after the climb, you have to go down a mountain at 60
yeah.
or 70 miles an hour. And if you fly off a cliff, I think we've seen what happens in this sport that has an almost total disregard for human life.
I mean, I was riding with someone who lives in London, very good, like, elite triathlete. And, they could drop me on, like, any uphill, and then coming down I bet I could descend Lee Hill, which is, like, a mountain next to my house, 5 minutes faster than them. So it's like, no matter what you do, I'm going to catch you. Like, no matter how fit you are, like, if you can't do the descent fast enough, it's not gonna matter, and that is skill, that's all skill.
Yeah. For example, if we had a training camp in Tucson and we went to Mount Lemon and
Yeah, the race was up
Spencer's
and down.
Spencer's going down the mountain. I'm getting into the Ram 2500 that someone has broken into and smoked a blunt inside of. And then I'm driving back down the mountain. Spencer's going to win because he's riding his bike. Whereas I'm thinking I'm going to get blown off this mountain by these 30-mile-an-hour crosswinds.
In the Ram. The Ram
Yeah.
is too exposed.
Yeah.
Um
It's hard to reach. That pedal is so tall in the Ram. I think it's ridiculous. I was getting tendonitis in my ankle.
You have to have,
You
like,
know
a
what I'm
size
talking about,
17
right?
shoe to, like, have your
Yeah.
foot on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
have to have Timbos on or like steel-toed boots to be with like a giant heel to be able to like really work that pedal.
never got billed for that blunt, by the way. So, all's well that ends well, I guess. One other thing to run by you. So, Jonas Vingegaard, we
All right,
got
I'm
the
ready for
we're
it.
we're in silly season. We've got nothing to talk about. Now we're rolling out the rumors. Jonas wants to do the Giro Tour double. What do you think about this?
Is he gonna stain his deck? Is he putting in a new
Yeah,
dishwasher? Like that.
well, maybe he did so many home improvement jobs last year that now he has more time to do the Giro d'Italia.
I would love to have him come out to Hope, Maine. Spencer, I know you had a deck staining probably 2 months ago. it's been on my list, and then we got that sneaky early season snowstorm this week.
Yeah, yeah.
If you are following me at Hardway Pod on Instagram, you saw me out putting it just like polishing the edge of the sword, getting ready for this Tucson showdown
Did you
in
get
the
the leaves
snow.
up before the snow? That's always the big
No,
thing. Oh, man.
no.
And I need Jonas. I'm here. I'm defenseless in London. I know it's about the snow in Boulder. I know I've got those leaves on the ground. It's gonna ruin the grass if that snow gets on there. We need Jonas in Hope and in Boulder doing our home improvement projects. He doesn't have time for this year to tell you.
Will Jonas do the Giro Tour double? I think what's on my mind, I just read Remco saying he's going to do the Giro Tour double. And when I see that, I think we've started building the excuses for leaving the Tour de France after like
But
15 stages.
is Jonas just a mean guy? Like, does he wait for all these people to dodge Pogacar, and he's like, "Guess what? I'm gonna be the guess what, Joao? I'm gonna be at the Vuelta. You wanna win a Grand Tour?
Yeah.
You're not winning a
Yeah.
Grand
Good
Tour.
luck.
Remco, I'm gonna be."
Yeah.
I would say Remco's gotta finish 5th before he can finish 1st. There probably are other obstacles between him winning the Giro and Jonas, but that's interesting you say that about Remco, because I do think at some point, you have to start living in reality and plan like, make contingency plans. Well, it's like, "Well, I'm probably not gonna beat Pogacar, and I gotta win a Grand Tour, so I have to go to another Grand Tour." And to me, the question is, it's not, can he win both? It's, can he win the Giro and finish 2nd at the Tour? Because the best he can do is 2nd, but you have to be ready in case Pogacar doesn't finish the Tour or has a problem. Like, you don't wanna throw away the
Right.
chance of, like, not, I don't wanna say gifted tour, but just you don't wanna throw away that chance. I bet he is. I bet he could win the Giro and still be significantly better than the 3rd person at the Tour de France.
I don't have pro cycling stats open in front of me. Has Jonas raced the Giro before?
I don't think he's ever raced it,
Yeah.
no.
I
It's
don't think
actually
he has.
funny to
Yeah.
imagine it.
Yeah, I think hey, if he does it, I think it's gonna be awesome. I would absolutely love to see that, and I would love to see him go head to head with Remco in particular. The thing I think about, second order consequence here, if Remco indeed goes for the Giro Tour double, which I believe he will, like, where are the scraps for Lipowitz? What happens with that relationship, and
Well,
what
I
happens
think,
with Primos, who, sorry, I'm just gonna roll another grenade in the room. I just saw, I don't remember, maybe it was Daniel Benson he had his list of his estimates of riders' salaries. I was just absolutely stunned to see what Primos reportedly is making. He was like way down the list. I think he was at like €1.5 million a year, maybe
well, wait, when was this published?
like last week.
And Benson slipping up by me. Well, I wonder if that is a new deal, and that is Remco, or not Remco, Primo's kind of coming, because he was making a lot of money. He was like one of the highest paid riders in the
Right.
sport. And then I think he re-signed with Red Bull probably at a lower rate, as I think he's in geriatric Primo's mode now.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Now there's all kind of making sense, because Lipowitz said he's targeting the Tour. So if Remco's going to the Giro, we all know what this means.
Yeah.
Primoz is
Right.
going for the Vuelta. He's trying to get that record-breaking Vuelta win. I'm in the only room in London with air conditioning, by the way. I cannot believe how that's working. Unbelievable. I'm not
Did
gonna
you
give up
need
my
did you need it right now?
I what's the Mark Twain thing? The coldest winter of my life is a summer spent in San Francisco. Like, I would say so far, it's like the hottest summer of my life is fall in London. It's just like, it's
Interesting.
kind of cold, but then you bundle up and you're on the tube. It's like, it is so freaking hot. Like, I'm
Wow.
sweating my face off. If it's above 55 degrees in London, it's the hottest you've ever been in your life. Um, well, we gotta get you off to Disrupt Industries. Anything else, Andrew, before you take off?
I think Primos is gonna win the Vuelta. What do you think?
I don't know, it's fun to say, and then Johan and I
Yeah.
were going through
Then
this,
there's
and we're like,
reality. Yeah.
well, is Pogacar's gotta do the Vuelta, and the Vuelta starts at his, like, literally at his front door,
Right.
and so it's like, what are the chances that it's at his house and he doesn't do it? And that's probably
Yeah.
why they're doing it in Monaco, so that he has to do it. I have a hard time believing that he would beat Pogačar. I don't think he could beat Jonas, but, I mean, could he beat Almeida? Maybe? I don't yeah. I mean, that you start to get into possible territory there, but if Tadej starts, I don't think he's winning.
Yeah, it's the same reason that they're rumored to be starting the Tour de France and Hope Main in 2028, you
Trying to
know?
get yeah.
Yeah, trying to sucker me in, but I don't know if that's where I wanna make my Grand Tour debut, Spencer.
He's
I
too
think
young. He's too young. We must bring him along slowly.
absolutely. I'm just you know, Tour de Tucson, this is kinda like one of the tune-up races. I need to test my ice chip strategy. I know we're gonna be down in that hotel lobby. I hope it's got one of those flip over waffle things, you
It's
know?
actually not it's not a fancy hotel, but you
Yeah,
don't get I was eating dinner at a Malaysian restaurant that also was like a Malaysian
okay,
hotel last night, and they
got it.
did, like,
Of
shoved in the
course.
corner, like, what it was like the essentials for breakfast. It was like the toaster, the flip over waffle. I was like, "I should have stayed at this place."
That's
I
incredible.
yeah, but
Yeah,
we'll let you go. It's been dark for 3.5 hours. It's only 5 PM, but I gotta get out for my
awesome.
run. You gotta get to work.
Yeah, lay it down. We wanna see that 10K time. Follow Spencer on Strava. Follow me at Hardway Pod
Oh, and
on
I'm
Instagram. Yeah,
literally getting emails as we speak about potential guests for our Friday show next week,
love
and
it.
their names can rhyme with Min Simmons and Matthew Nutella. So, maybe we'll have them, maybe we won't, but we hope to see. Please come up to us. Please talk to us if you see us at Tour de Tucson. There's nothing more awkward than being at an expo and no one's talking to you.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna be at the expo doing a live podcast at the Tour de Tucson. Come see us, come check out the show, and we'd love to meet you within reason. And let's just have a good time. And anybody who wants to ride in front of me so that I can finish the event rapidly, I would love for that to happen.
Man, now I'm stressed. I gotta get my bike ready. I'm not even at home. I gotta rake leaves, gotta get the bike
Oh,
ready and packed. Oh, man.
all right. I know we got to go, Spencer. The last thing I wanted to share, I experimented yesterday because I can either drive to Boston, which is about 4 hours, or you can drive to Portland, then transfer onto a bus, and then take the bus into Boston. Then you don't have to deal with airport parking, driving stress, etc. You're then adding additional time to get to the bus place, wait in line, etc. Of course, I'm traveling with the bike for 3 flights in 10 days, which is, I mean, we both have kids. This is way more stressful than
There's
traveling with a
nothing
newborn.
no better feeling than flying without a bicycle.
Yeah,
It's like doing
right,
drugs. You're just like,
right.
"What? I just walked
Yeah.
onto that plane? I'm not
So
stressed about it being broken?"
I called ahead. I talked to the bus people. I was concerned the bike wouldn't fit in the compartment under the bus or there wouldn't be room. They said, "Hey, no problem." And I got there, I handed them the bike bag as I'm going on, and I could just visually see that it was too tall. I've got the Cycon bag, which has been great. What's your worst nightmare about the Cycon bag?
Well, it's the bike breaking,
Yeah,
right? Or
it's specifically it's gonna get put on its side and maybe something gets put on top of
uh
it. They're like, "No problem, plenty of room." I'm like, "All right, I see there are a lot of bags that are going on this bus." I get off at the airport, they flip the container open. I look in there and there's a hard-sided suitcase on top of my bike bag, which is sideways.
That is, like, the only weak point of the Saigon case.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. It's like it very well could have just shifted and flown onto it while the bus was moving. But then I had that moment of like, you know, of course, as soon as I get the bike bag out, I like unzip it, and it's that feeling of what's going to happen next. That could be part of the Beyond the Peloton reality series. I mean, in predicted markets, I bet we could make a market around what happens to our bikes when we
Yeah,
fly,
will our bikes make
right?
it? The Malherbe twins, great American crit racers. I saw one of them at like, land and open their bag and check in the airport if it's broken. They're like, if you get home and it's broken, like, you're done. You can't prove that it was them. But then you start to play that out. You're like, so what happens if it's broken? Like, can you imagine like
Well,
how
yeah.
long you would be at that airport? If you're
Oh,
like,
it'd be a long one. I know we got to end this podcast. You got to run. I got stuff to do. But when I landed yesterday, there was there was controversy on the plane because the classic someone had taken someone else's nondescript black rolly bag. So then that's playing out over the intercom on the plane in the luggage area. I'm waiting in the oversized luggage area. The entire plane's been offloaded. Everyone has left. And then it's me, it's a very nice older woman, and then this guy. Guy's waiting for car seats. The older woman is waiting for a walker. I'm waiting for a bike. The car seats come out. The walker dramatically comes through the oversized gate. Finally, the Sycon bag, I see it, and the guy, of course, like puts it on its side, very gently scoots it towards me. I unzip it. I think the bike's intact. It's in the room behind me. I'm gonna build it now. It's my Lafu Tall, which I love. And if it's broken, this might be one of the first miracles of Beyond the Peloton, the healing of the Lafu Tall. I'll keep you all posted. Follow me out at Hardway Pod for more.
all right, thank you, Andrew. And I'll see you soon.